If you've ever wondered how realistically life changes after you move to a different country, then this video is for you. Hey guys, I'm Danielle. I've been living in Spain for a year and a half now, and all of my American friends keep asking me what life is like now that I've moved out to Madrid. So I figured we'd dedicate today by talking about the 8 different ways in which life is so different living in Spain than it was in the US. So let's get into it. Number 1. This one I wasn't that surprised by, but smoking is a lot more prevalent here in Madrid than what I remember it to be in the States. Don't get me wrong, there were smokers in the States. In fact, good luck walking past the bathrooms without walking through a smoke cloud, but everyone was vaping in the US. I went to university in Pittsburgh, and when I was going to high school, I went in the suburbs of Philadelphia. And it remained consistent when I was in Philadelphia and when I was in Pittsburgh. Everyone seemed to be vaping. No one actually smoked a cigarette. But out here in Madrid, they're all smoking either e-cigs or the actual cigarettes. They don't care. I've seen a few people vaping, but honestly, those were international people. True Spanish people, they smoke cigarettes. Number 2, the noise isn't as bad as I thought. When I was going to university, I was living on the university's campus, so I was right in the heart of everything. And even though I was on the 8th floor of the building, I could still hear people running up and down the dorms. I could hear people outside. There was always a jackhammer going off because there's constant construction going on in Pittsburgh. I just felt like there was always noise. You could never just have silence. But living in Spain, even though the nightlife is prevalent, even though people go out and people get rowdy, it's quiet. People really respect other people's peace. In fact, that was actually something I was really surprised about, because when I first moved out here and I was finally getting into the party scene, I was ready to be rowdy. I was ready to scream at the top of my lungs. We had so much fun yelling and screaming in the club that I thought it was going to continue as we were bar hopping. And all of my Spanish friends told me, Danny, be quiet. And I was taken back by this, because the same people that were the ones encouraging me to scream and dance and sing were also the same ones saying, be respectful of other people. And that's the main difference that I see living in the States and Spain. Like, Spanish people are so considerate of their role in the bigger picture. Versus when we would go out in the States, I have specific memories of coming back from parties at 2, 3 a.m. screaming and having fun with my friends. We didn't care if other people hurt us. We didn't care if we were in someone else's way. We were just living our own life, and they were kind of just existing next to it. Number 3, this one is going to be really obvious, but food is better here. I was not prepared for how screwed up my gut was when I first moved out here, because I've always had gut issues, but I just thought it was because of my own wrongdoing. I was aghast. It turns out it was just the pesticides and additives and preservatives and colorings. Basically, all those terrible chemicals that you don't want in your body that the US pumps into its food supply. It was that. I move out to Spain, my bloating is gone, I'm able to eat pastries, and I don't feel like I'm 9 months pregnant. And they really have a strong emphasis on only using quality ingredients. Like, you can literally taste the difference, because even the simplest sounding dishes are genuinely great. Like, when I first moved out here, I was appalled at the fact that you guys eat tostadas with just tomato on top. But then I actually had it. Oh my gosh. It is the most flavorful way to start your day, and it uses so little ingredients, but the ingredients are quality, and it's really the quality that counts. And of course, I would expect this because the food culture in Madrid and the rest of Spain is huge, but this really helps me understand why. Number 4, your cultural identity is just better. And this could just be my perception as a new incoming American, but something that I'm noticing more and more is that your general sense of community is ingrained in your culture. So your cultural identity is founded on community. Like, everywhere that I go, I constantly feel like I'm surrounded by family, even though I'm not from here. And it's such a weird concept to try to put into words, because unless you've actually felt it, there is no way words can fully comprehend the feeling of it and the magnitude to which you feel it. And yes, of course, you have extremes on both sides of people being super patriotic to the point where it's toxic, and people hating the country to the point where it's toxic. But for the people that I've met, at least living in Madrid, the people that I associate with, and even the people that message me on Instagram or stop me on the streets to say hi, there's just this feeling of community. And that is Spanish. Like, that is part of your culture. It's not just like a unique quirk that one individual or a couple individuals have. It's part of the Spanish experience. Number 5, there are so many more vacations out here. As you may have seen from one of my previous videos, the work-life culture is so different out here in Spain than it is in the States. And a really important subsection of this is the amount of vacations that you guys take. When I first moved out here, I was working for a startup company. So granted, we don't follow typical rules that, let's say, a corporate office would. But oh my goodness, I remember walking into the office and it was just me and my boss. I look at him and I'm like, where is everyone? And he was like, it's a holiday. I'm like, what do you mean it's a holiday? And I just remember him looking at me like, yeah, we're seeing the air show today, as if I knew. And this happened so frequently throughout the year that I was working there. I would just walk into the office and everyone was apparently either celebrating something or late getting to the office because they were coming back from celebrating something. And it's just so gnarly to see because you actually care about taking that vacation time. You don't worry about work. As an American, we work all the time. We don't have a lot of vacations. And when we do have vacations, we make sure that we plan it accordingly so that we're always prioritizing when we're going back to work, maximizing our productivity, etc., etc. But out here, there is no regard to that. It's like, oh, if I go to work late, then I go to work late. Okay. Number 6, the way that you interact with people. This could kind of tie into the cultural identity, but living in the US, I really felt like every time I was interacting with someone, it was like a miniature interview. It was always very professional in the sense of we're both trying to think, how is this mutually beneficial, us knowing each other? Even when I would meet new people in university, I wouldn't really talk to them. I wouldn't really associate with them outside of class unless I had to for a specific project or they were also studying something in my field, meaning that I would only hang out with other neuroscience students, and it made sense for us to get to know each other and like each other because we were studying the same thing, we were interested in the same thing, we were going towards the same career path. But like, I wouldn't hang out with the business school kids, I wouldn't hang out with the art majors. I had them as friends, like off to the side, but they weren't my main group. My main group were the people that were most beneficial to me. And I've noticed that out here in Spain, that's just fully not the case. I've had the privilege of meeting every single title you can think of, from the owner of a cafe to the CEO of a company to just some random abuela that's living downstairs from me. And everyone talks to me the same. They're all just interested in knowing, hey, who are you? What did you do today? Do you feel happy? Do you feel good? What's good in your life? What's going on? They don't care about how much money did you make today? What's your title? How much are you bringing in a year? Those were things that we thought about in the US a lot because capitalism is part of our culture, as you probably well know, but also this feeling of constant competition and tension. Like, even the people that I was friends with in the US, I only consider a handful of them real friends because, case in point, when I made it known that I was dropping out of neuroscience to go pursue business in Madrid, I want to say half of my friends stopped talking to me. They looked at me like, oh, you're a college dropout? I'm not going to associate with you anymore. They didn't care about me as a person. They were looking at what it looks like aesthetically speaking. And I'm not mad at them. I have no hate. That was how I was raised too. Because I even remember when there was a girl in my high school and she got pregnant, I didn't think about, oh, does she actually want to be a mom right now? Is she going to be a good mom? I just thought, oh my gosh, she's a teen pregnancy case. Okay. I wasn't thinking about her as a person. And I know that both of these examples are really extreme. Like, you can't compare teen pregnancy to dropping out of college, but it's just the way in which we viewed people and our relationships to them is so much different than how I'm experiencing it here in Spain. Number 7, the eating schedules. Oh my goodness. The eating schedules, when I first moved out here, they killed me. I'm a born and raised American. I'm used to having my lunch at 12 and my dinner at 6. Coming out to Madrid, Spain, let me tell you something. That was a shock. I was not ready for that because lunch out here is at 2 and it normally lasts for a couple of hours. And if you're eating with proper Spanish people, then it's most likely going to be like tapas, where you're kind of just picking and the main focus of the event is talking. So you're not sitting down, gulping, and then going back to work. And then your dinner is at 9 p.m. I remember it genuinely like it was yesterday. The first time a friend of mine said, do you want to go out to dinner? I said, sure. Do you want to meet at 6:30? And she laughed and said, yeah, for a drink. I didn't get home until 11:30. I had work the next day. She had work the next day. Everything in Spain is pushed back in terms of time. So breakfast is later, and there are technically 2 breakfasts. Lunch is later. There's a merienda, which is like a snack in between lunch and dinner is later. Getting used to this kind of schedule, it was such a shock because if I wanted to have a social life, then I had to adopt to it. It wasn't like something I could just say, okay, well, living in Spain, I know that they typically have dinner at 9, but I'm going to have dinner at 6. No, it's like if they have dinner at 9, then unless I don't ever want to have dinner with friends ever again for the entirety of the time that I'm here, then my dinner's going to be at 9 too. And number 8, the way that you show up in society, top tier. This could just be because I'm living in Madrid. So this could be very different as you go from Toledo, Valencia, Valencia, Barcelona, San Sebastian, etc., etc. But I'm really putting in a lot more effort into how I present in a day. I'm buying perfume, which I never bought in the States ever. I'm buying nicer clothes. I'm not going out in sweatpants. I'm not going out in athleisure wear unless I'm literally going out for a run. I'm really putting the work in to look as proper as possible. And this is such a huge difference from when I was living in the States because even in university, I would show up sometimes to my classes in pajama pants. Like I just fully didn't care. I would see people walking outside, sweatpants, sweatshirt, hair in a messy bun. We don't care. We didn't care how we showed up to our class. We didn't care if people thought of us in any kind of way. And it was this weird kind of culture where you dress however you want. No one can say anything. And if they do, then they're the hater. But out here in Spain, it's not like that at all. You dress to impress. And it's not even like we're dressing to impress others, even though that is probably subconsciously a part of it, but we're dressing for the sake of pride in ourselves. And that's something that I've really had to internalize since coming here. Because when I first moved out here, I knew that Madrid dressed business casual. That was something that was very obvious. But I just thought it was because you're all trying to keep up with each other and keep up with the status quo. And I'm trying to look like I'm better than you or at the same level as you, even if I'm not. But as I've come to learn and live here, I really do see that for some people, yes, that's 100% the case. You're just trying to keep up with the person next door. But for others, it's really a sense of pride in your identity. Like if you're walking down the street, you don't want someone to see you in the worst clothes. You don't want someone to see you looking disheveled. You want people to see you looking well put together because that's how you perceive yourself. And how you dress is a direct reflection of how you're feeling about yourself. And this has been such a huge mindset shift because even I notice it. Like when I would go to university in the US and I would wear sweatpants or I'd wear a sweatshirt or I just wear baggy clothes, it's because I wasn't feeling like my best. When I went to class in a cute corset, a cute skirt, I had my hair up, I had my makeup on, it's because I was feeling myself. I was like, ooh, I look cute today. I'm gonna dress up. People are gonna look at me walking by and I'm gonna do this. Like it's gonna be a whole thing. And it really is a whole thing. And out here, every day is a whole thing. So hopefully, as I've been going through all these different ways in which life is different here in Spain than it is in the States, you can kind of pull away the general fact that life in Madrid is vastly different than it is in the United States. If we're talking about Pennsylvania in specific, people care a lot more about how they show up for others and themselves, and quality of life doesn't necessarily mean income. It is known that in Spain, they do make considerably less than the average US citizen, but if you're looking at how they live, it is 10 times that of the average US citizen. People are happy, people enjoy their lives, and even if they don't necessarily love their work, they're constantly in this community of family and love, and that's just their baseline. So I hope this has been helpful, and if you think that I'm missing anything and you're Spanish and you're watching, let me know. I tried to hit on the 8 most important things, but there could be 15, there could be 20. So either way, I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you soon.